These are your notes for Unit 9, Day 7 of Pre-Calculus. If you would like to see the warm-up, review question, or any homework questions we covered in class today, just look at the finished notes. So today we are going to be able to find the cross product of two vectors. So the cross product of two vectors, so it kind of looks like you're doing v times w, but we don't read that as time. We read that as the cross product of v and w. What you do is you look at your components. So you're going to take the b1 component, so the b component of the first vector, and then multiply it by the c component of the second vector, minus b2 c1, and that's going to be the new I component. And then you subtract, and then for your new b component, you do a1 c2 minus a2 c1, and that's going to be the new b component for your j vector, and then a1 b2 minus a2 b1 for your k component. Now, this might seem familiar if we put it into matrix form, because what we're trying to find is the determinant of each of those 2 by 2 matrix. So if we wanted to find the cross product of v times w, first let's put these into matrix form. So if we were to put this into a matrix, we have the component 2i, 3j, 5k for vector v, and then for vector w, we have 1i, 2j, and 3k. So if we want to find the dot product of, not v plus w, sorry, that should be v crossed with w, what you do is if we want to find the new I component, so this is I, J, K, if we want to find the new I component, what we do is we eliminate those I's, and then we want to find the determinant of the matrix 3, 5, 2, 3. So if you remember how to find a determinant, you multiply the two diagonals, so we're going to take 3 times 3, and then you take 5 times 2, and you subtract the result. So we take 3 times 3 minus 5 times 2, and that's going to be our new I component. So 3 times 3 is 9, minus 5 times 2 is 10. So 9 minus 10 is negative 1. So our I component is going to be negative 1i. And then if we wanted to find our new j component, well, we'll go back to our original matrix, and this time what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate the j column and write our new matrix. So for our j columns elimination, our new matrix would be 2, 5, 1, 3, and then we find the determinant of that matrix. So 2 times 3 minus 5 times 1. So 2 times 3 minus 5 times 1, so that would be 6 minus 5, which is 1. So that is going to be 1j. So for our cross product of v times w, I have negative 1i plus 1j. And now we will do our k column. So if we want to find our k component, let's cross out the k. And so our k matrix to find the cross product would be 2, 3, 1, 2, and then find the determinant. So 2 times 2 minus 3 times 1. So that would be 2 times 2 minus 3 times 1. So 4 minus 3. So our k component will also be 1k. So the cross product of v and w is going to be negative I plus j plus k. So let's look at another example. So if our two vectors are 2i plus 3j plus 5k, and our w vector is I plus 2j plus 3k, we already found v crossed with w. So we already did this one. Let's do w crossed with v. So if we do w crossed with v, would it be the same thing? So we're going to put the w on first this time. So we have our I, j, and k. So let's make our matrix. So our w matrix was 1i, 2j, 3k. Our v matrix was 2i, 3j, 5k. And so if we wanted to find the cross product of w crossed with v, so first we'll find our I component. So our matrix would be 2, 3, 3, 5. So then cross multiply and find the determinant. So this would be 10 minus 9, which is 1. So our I component is positive 1i. And then if we wanted to find our j component, let's draw a line through our j's. So our matrix that we're going to use would be 1, 2, 3, 5. and then find the determinant. So 1 times 5 minus 2 times 3. So it'd be 5 minus 6, so negative 1. So our j component is going to be negative 1j. And then for our k's, the matrix that we would use would be 1, 2, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 2, 3. So we would do 3 times 1 minus 2 times 2, so we would get negative 1. So our k component would be negative 1k. So w crossed with v would be I minus j minus k. So not the same, they had different signs. Let's try one more together, and then you guys will do w crossed with w. So if we want to do v crossed with v, so our two vectors would be 2, 3, 5, and 2, 3, 5. And this would be our i's, our i's, j's, and k's. So eliminate the i's, and so our I vector would be 3, 5, and 3, 5. So find the cross product. So 3 times 5 minus 3 times 5, that would be 0. So the cross product of v crossed with v for our I components would be 0. So we would get 0i, and then plus, if we did our j's, will the same thing happen? Well, let's find out. Our vector would be 2, 5, 2, 5. And so if you did the determinant, you would have 2 times 5 minus 2 times 5 would also be 0. So we would have 0j plus, if we did our k component, we would have 2, 3, 2, 3. And the cross product would also be, the determinant would also be 0. So we would have 0k. So v crossed with v would be 0i plus 0j plus 0k. I'm assuming if you guys tried the cross product of w with w, you would see what would happen, or you could say what it would be, but you guys go ahead and try the cross product of w with w. And you can check your work against the finished notes from class today. So how to study for your test next class. So as always, you should review your notes. You should review all the finished notes, and you can watch any video versions of the notes that you need to. You should also review all of your homework and do any additional homework problems that you feel like you should do. You should also review all of your exit tickets and any corrections that need to be done for your exit tickets. You should complete the review assignment that is given at the bottom of these notes. And you should complete any Socratives that are open on Socrative.com. And we probably listed the rooms in class today, so make sure that you are aware of what rooms are available on Socrative. And then as always, you should study with a buddy. And don't forget about the spiral section, so make sure you're reviewing notes from our previous units as well, so you're ready for the spiral section on the test. The review homework for class that you should complete to help you prepare for the test is the Unit 9 review problem set, which starts on page 648 in your book.